Boys, today we're going to look at a couple of other applications of percentages, looking at discounts and also GST. The textbook exercise focuses on GST, but I thought I'd include a couple on discounts. So looking at our first question there, it's an example of when you have a sale on, and at the moment, in our current context, there's a lot of sales happening because companies aren't getting people coming to their stores, and so they need to sell stuff online, and they want to make that as attractive as possible. So they're trying to sell off stock. So let's have a look at this one. The full retail price of a sports shoe at Rebel Sport is $166. So that's the full retail price. Now Rebel Sport are having a 20% store-wide sale. So what is the sale price of the shoe? So what is it on sale? So on sale, you're taking 20% off. So if I take 20% off, that's the same thing as finding 80% of the price. And so the easiest way to do this is to actually just find 80%. And so the sale price is equal to 80% times by 166. It just saves us doing multiple steps if we just do that. And we get $132.80. Question 2. Find the percentage discount if an item worth $115 was bought on sale for $97.75. So we want the percentage discount, not just the discount. We want the discount as a percentage of the original $115, the original price. So the discount first, let's find that. The discount is equal to 115 minus $97.75. And so that gives us a discount of $17.25. So what percentage is that? So the percentage discount that's equal to 17.25 divided by 115. So what percentage is the discount over the whole amount? And on your calculator, that'll come out as 0.15, which of course is an easy conversion. That's 15%. All right, so 15% discount. Let's now have a look at some questions involving GST. Well, GST, what is it? That's the goods and services tax. And so every item that's sold in the shops will have GST added to it. So that's an extra 10% of the price added to it. And that's a tax that goes to the government. Now, the only thing that doesn't have a GST on it are essential products like bread and milk, things like that. And so GST is 10%, and any question that you're given, it'll tell you whether the GST applies or not. So it's 10% of the price added on. So, if I had something worth $100, then the GST would be 10% of that. So 10% of that would be $10, 1/10. And so if I was going to sell that product worth $100, so that's pre-GST would be $100. The GST amount would be $10. And so if I was going to sell it in the shop, so if the price including the GST, that would be equal to the 100 plus the 10. It'll be $110. So you can see how I've added 10% on. So let's look at some examples. Just a note before we move on, this GST is usually included in the retail price. So when you go and buy something from the shops, they don't say, this is the amount and here's the GST. But sometimes on your dockets, you'll get told, like if you were looking at your receipt after you bought your product, they would tell you how much GST is included. But if you're just looking on the shelf, they're just going to tell you what the amount you need to pay is. And that'll normally include GST. All right, question 1. Find the selling price of an item, including GST, which has a pre-GST cost of $64. So the product's worth $64, and a particular company wants to sell it. They've got to add 10% to that pre-GST cost to find the selling price. So there's sort of two ways to do this. One way is we can find 10% and then plus it on. Another way is using our skill of increasing by a percentage. We can do a quick way to get straight to the selling price. So let's first do the sort of the longer method. So if we want to find the GST, that's going to be equal to 10% of 64, which is $6.40. And so the selling price would be equal to 64 plus $6.40, which would be a total of $70.40. Okay, but there's a quicker way than doing those two steps, and that is to recognize that the GST is 10%, and the original amount is, think of that as 100%. So if we go back to our example here at the top, the pre-GST price, if we think about that as being 100% of the cost, and the GST is 10%, then the price including GST, I guess this is our selling price, well, that selling price is 110%. So in our question here, 100% is this here is 100%, the $64, and we want to find 110%. And so the way we get there is by multiplying by 100 and 10%. So the selling price is literally just equal to 110% times by 64, which equals $70.40. So you can see how that's a bit quicker if we have that understanding there. All right, question 2. Find the amount of GST for an item that has a retail price of $132. Okay, so this time they've told us the price that includes GST. So the retail price here, this thing includes the GST. And so for the purposes of what we did at the end of that last question, this value here, what percentage is that worth? Well, it's 110%. Since that's 110%, we can use that knowledge to find out the amount of GST. So how much GST is normally in a product? Normally, GST is 10%. And so we need to get from 110%, we've got to get from here 110% to 10%. So how do we do that? Well, 11 lots of 10 fit into that. And so the amount of GST is going to be equal to 132 divided by 11. Because 11 10% fit into 110%. And that will give us our answer of $12. So there would be $12 of GST in this amount of 132. And so doing a simple subtraction, we could say 132 minus 12, 120 would be the original price if they'd asked for that. But they wanted the amount of GST. And we found that. Okay, so good luck with having a go with these questions on GST. Make sure you read the examples given in the textbook that show you these processes again. Or you can just keep reviewing the video. Good luck.